Vanilla and eggs. What am I going to make with these? We'll add some sugar, cream, and milk, and we're going to get some creme caramels. I'm Executive Chef James McKennis, and welcome to my kitchen. This is actually the second time I've recorded this video. The first time, they didn't turn out.
Hiya.
And like a hack, I could have used some editing magic to make it look good and pretend it worked out and lied to you during the taste section. But we don't do that here. If it doesn't work out and there's a reason to show it, we'll show it. Maybe there's something we can learn from it. Like the biryani 2 weeks ago. But if it doesn't work out and there's no value to be learned from that loss, we're just going to start over. So bear with me, let's hop over to the stove and let's get going with creme caramel. Take 2. So we start off by putting our sugar and our water into a pot. Now the recipe guide said this takes 10 to 12 minutes on low heat. It also said to do this mixing part in a glass bowl. I say why dirty a bowl when you can do it in the pot. And this took closer to 18 minutes on my stove to get to a nice mahogany color, golden brown. And then all you have to do to stop the cooking is splash it. Give it a splasher dasher with 2 tablespoons of water that I had preloaded into a little ramekin. So once I was happy with the color, because it's gonna set in place and kind of lock in there. It was really, if you want to advance the color to a little darker, you just have to start over. So there you go. There's my 2 tablespoons of water. It locks it in. It comes to a very hard, rapid boil because sugar gets extremely hot. Sugar has a very high boiling point. Like sugar on its own is, like melted sugar is one of the most dangerous things you can use in the kitchen because not only is it extremely hot, but it's sticky. So you're going to pour it into your ramekins evenly. Now here's my first problem with this recipe. Well, those are some pretty big ramekins, and the recipe said 4 to 6 ramekins, kind of gave some loose guidelines on how many ounces they should hold. I got really just enough caramel for those 4, so I would take that caramel recipe, and then I would, you could go a little less caramel in them than what I have, maybe, and stretch it to 6, but I would take the sugar, and I would add a third to it myself, and plan on 6 ramekins. So in that pot, I had my milk and cream combined because you're supposed to steep them together. I'm cracking my eggs into my bowl here. I like to crack an egg into an egg, as you saw me do the 2 eggs in the middle. That's what I like to do. Goes my sugar, just a small bit of sea salt, and some vanilla. Heck, why not some more vanilla? So the recipe, and I wanted to try the recipe and be authentic to it because it's made by somebody I've seen on YouTube and whose videos I really enjoy. And he said use a fork because it will prevent the same aeration you'd get from a whisk. So the one advantage to the fork was stabbing the yolks to make sure they break up. And while I was waiting for the cream to finish steeping, I got my ramekins into my baking pan and I added 4 cups of very hot tap water. My hot water on demand is set to 145. So it's pretty hot water when it's straight out of the tap. Now that my milk is steeped, you never want to boil. You always want they call it like a scald. Now that it's scalded, I didn't mean to say steep, I meant scalded. You're gonna mix it into your eggs just like creme brulee. Except this has whole eggs, not just egg yolks. And all the recipes I've found on the internet so far all call for whole eggs. And I remember in college doing this, I want to say it was like half and half. Like it was like, say, 2 whole eggs and 4 yolks or something. So I'm not really when I get to the taste section, you'll know why. But the taste of these with the yolks, with the whites, I don't think they're getting 100% mixed. So you can see that I was starting to make a mess, so I poured it back into my measuring cup. Like, why not, right? Because it's got a pour spout. And you can fill them all up. Now, this was my other problem. Those are pretty big ramekins, and like I said, I ended up getting 6, but I didn't have any caramel for them. So you can see how much is left in my measuring cup. So I put these in the oven. I thought about pouring the rest of it down the drain, but then I was like, why? Like, I got it. So then I went and grabbed some more ramekins out of the cupboard right there, and I forced them in. Okay, so yesterday you saw me put them into the oven. Now this recipe that I have linked down below says to bake it for an hour. We'll pull them out, let them sit at room temp for 4 hours, and then refrigerate for 6 to 24. From a health safety, I should say, standard, I wouldn't really want to leave them on the counter for 4 hours. What you have to know by health code, at least if you're doing this commercially, in your home, do whatever you want, obviously, but you only have 2 hours to bring product temp from over 60 degrees Celsius to below 40 degrees Celsius. Then you have 4 hours to go from 40 degrees Celsius to under 4 degrees Celsius, because it's all a time temperature thing when we talk about food safety. So, in front of me, you saw yesterday, I made 4 of these, okay? And I had enough batter left over that I snuck 2 more of these in at the end. Now here's the problem with these. There's no caramel at the bottom, so there's no release. So when you try to take a knife and run them out, they don't come out. So you're gonna be eating these more like just out of the bowl, like a pudding. See, they have no release. So this is the one, like it's a shallower one, a smaller one. And well, that's fine. It's more like a pudding. Last night I went to have one in the middle of the night to try one, and they weren't fully set overnight even. I turned this one out before I turned the camera on, and it broke coming down on the table. So I'm hoping that one of these, they're not 100% set. So I feel like either these ramekins are too big, or I should have cooked them just a little longer. I was kind of rushing yesterday, and I know, I'm shooting a video. I can show you exactly how to do it. Yeah, it just breaks. But I feel like there's some value in watching mistakes once in a while, because they're not even consistently wrong. Like that one's a lot looser than this one. Like they taste fine. Like that big puddle, that's just golden caramel sauce. That's not like raw egg or anything. But yeah, see, take a real good look there. It's just so I would say either maybe 10 more minutes in the oven or smaller dishes. Because these dishes, this is actually firm. It just won't pour out. So they had less product in it too though. So I feel like just because the recipe says this makes four ramekins or whatever, I feel like you need to use some best judgment. And definitely try harder. I don't know what else to say. Like, they're tasty. I'm gonna eat these all. But yeah, I mean, a good second try. Like I said, this is my second try. I shot this last winter and it didn't work out at all. So I also have to say, the recipe, and I chose this recipe because I've seen this chef on YouTube many times. I'll link some of his videos or something up here or down below or somewhere. And he knows what he's doing. I didn't like the instruction of using a fork to avoid aeration when whisking, because I did actually have a little bit of like white here. It's just not entirely like mixed. When I do creme brulees at the restaurant, I do creme brulees all the time. We pour it through a sieve into like a beer pitcher to pour it in the ramekins. And I just take a ladle and I just whisk off the foam at the top. So, I mean, if you want to see me do a third video where maybe I actually knock this out of the park, let me know. I'll look for yet another recipe, another method Or maybe I'll try writing. See? Look, that one actually, it just looks like crap because it landed on the other one. But this one actually held out really good too. So it was inconsistent I think in the batter. Because of just using the, a fork like that for a light whipping. I mean, like, these are like perfectly fine for at home. But I definitely wouldn't try to sell these to anybody. But, if one of my cooks made this as a first try, it's a good try. Like, what'd you learn and how can we do this better? Anyways, thanks for watching. I've been Chef James, and we'll make something else next week.